Continuing the trend of getting a lot of EV vehicles, this week we've been driving the all-new BMW iX. This is BMW's first all-electric SUV, and it's in the midsize luxury crossover segment. Let's dive into it. And as far as all-electric vehicles that BMW sells in the I branding, you have the iX, which is what we have here, an i4, which we reviewed. That video should be posted as well. And the all-new i7, which I would love to jump into and compare it to the EQS we drove. The i3 and the i8 no longer show up on BMW's website. They were discontinued for all I know, which I did really like the i3. I reviewed it a long time ago. But obviously this week we're talking about the iX, and it comes in two different trim levels. The base trim is the xDrive 50, and this one, the top of the line, is the M60 trim. So let's quickly talk about the exterior design here. And the exterior on this iX has been ragged on enough on YouTube and in print. My personal take on it is I like 90% of the design, maybe 10% I could do without, but I actually think it looks really good and definitely stands out on the road. Got a lot of looks with this thing, got a lot of people stopping asking me about the vehicle, and pretty much all of them instantly knew it was an all-electric car, which, depending on who you are, is a good thing or a bad thing. This gray paint color we have is called Storm Bay Metallic, and I think it looks really good here with the gloss black. Up front we have the Icon adaptive LED headlights with laser light, and of course the traditional BMW kidney grille, which isn't a grille at all, it's just completely covered, but it's made to look like a grille, which is kind of cool. The BMW badge up there, you can actually push in, it'll pop open, and that's where you can fill up your washer fluid without having to pop the hood. Moving around the side, we do have 22-inch M Aero bicolor with bronze wheels, running Bridgestone tires. We also have M Sport brakes with blue calipers. And these are an added extra on this vehicle, but they do look really good, especially with the bronze, considering we've got the bronze motif throughout this vehicle. And you'll see that bronze on the door handles. We have body color side mirrors with integrated turn signals. The little black strip on the D-pillar has the iX logo imprinted on it. Moving around the rear, we have LED tail lights. You have the M60 badge, the iX badge, and the BMW badge back there. And this is fully keyless entry, but there's no real door handles here. All you do is reach your hand up, kind of curl your hand up in the door handle, and there's a button in there to pop it open. And then there's kind of a fancy button in the inside to pop it open, which I'll show you as we jump inside. But let's quickly talk about the full dimensions of this vehicle. You do have a 118.1-inch wheelbase. The full length is 195 inches. The width is 77.5 inches, and the height is 66.7 inches. And you have an 8.8-inch ground clearance. With that, let's pop open this hatch and see what's what back here. Obviously, power opening hatch. And one of the cool things you see at first is this carbon fiber exposed right here. You can also see it in the door sills. You do have lights right here, which is a bit interesting, but it's a nice flat floor, not too high of a cargo height. You have an extra little cubby down here, which we have the charger stuffed in. A top shelf. You have buttons to drop the rear seats, an accessory plug over here. So here in the cargo area, you have 35.5 cubic feet of cargo space. You can fold those seats down and get a full 77.9 cubic feet. All that really good. With that, let's close it back up and talk about the motors that power this. So first off, yes, I did say motors. There are two electric motors, one at each axle. If you're looking for a hood pop button on the inside, there's not one. You cannot pop the hood, hence the little BMW logo popping up so that you can fill the washer fluid. The xDrive 50 gets 516 horsepower, 564 foot-pounds of torque with the dual motors and all-wheel drive. That'll get you 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. with 324-mile range. The M60 though pushes 610 horsepower, 811 foot-pounds of torque with that dual motor all-wheel drive. This will do 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. You have a 288-mile range, and both vehicles come with a 111.5 kilowatt-hour high voltage lithium ion battery pack with an advanced thermal management system. And charging's about standard for the market. BMW will also sell you a level 2 wall charger to put at your house, and that should top up your battery from dead to 100% in about 12 hours. Well, let's go ahead and jump inside and start taking a look at the interior, starting with the rear seats. All right, we're back here in the rear seats, and it's a bit dark back here, but it is really nice, and it's a good size. I've got plenty of headroom. You can immediately see this sunroof here. I've got plenty of knee room. This is a position of the passenger seat. Hip and shoulder room is great as well. It's just a pretty nice place to be back here. You also have 2 USB charging ports back here. Those are USB-C, and you have a little slot down here if you want to add a screen. There's USB charging on the other seat. We have our own AC and heat controls, including heated seats, and a nice pull down armrest with pop out cup holders. But obviously the front is where it's at. Let's jump into the front seat, the driver's seat, and check out the rest of the interior. All right, guys, here in the driver's seat, and again, this is where it's at. We've got a ton of great stuff in here and a really beautiful interior, including these Amido perforated leather seats. It's this really cool blue color that matches really well with the bronze throughout the interior and throughout the vehicle. We do have the titanium bronze trim package, as well as the glass and wood package, which I'll show you around right now. All right, let's first turn the vehicle on with the glass start stop button. You can see the screens come to life, the steering wheel moves into position. But before we talk about the screens, let's talk about this glass and wood package. So you can see you have crystal-like controls for your seating position, your memory seating, and your heated seat. On the doors themselves, you have the glass knob here for the iDrive. The volume rocker is a glass knob. The gear selector is a glass knob, and of course that start button is glass as well. If nothing else, it is beautiful. And the wood part of the wooden glass package is this piece right here. This is a nice wood trim piece that has haptic capacitive buttons within it, which is super cool. Our audio system comes courtesy of Bowers & Wilkins, and it's pretty amazing, especially the function that allows the bass to come through the seats. It can be pretty intense, but it feels like you're in a Dolby theater with your seat rocking to the music. Back to the screens here, they're both really large widescreen displays. Obviously you have touch capabilities, or you can use your iDrive controller here. Super responsive, super nice, pretty standard for BMW. Nothing extra or fancy for this vehicle, except for some of the electric stats that you get. And it's this whole floating display thing, which I've heard some people not like, but I quite like it. Other than that, you have no other physical buttons except for your hazard lights here and some vent controls. Pretty much everything else is down here on the console. One of my favorite things down here happens to be this little tray right here that will hold a phone, and you can run your cable up through it so that you can be charging your phone and just have it sitting in there. Super convenient. You also do have a wireless charger for your phone down here, as well as USB ports for connecting, and your cup holders are down here. So I already showed you basically the buttons here. These are all your media buttons for your iDrive system. You have your cameras here, so you can put it in reverse and get the full 360 camera and reverse camera. Put it into park with push of a button here. But this is also will bring up your camera system. This is for your driver settings, including lane departure warning. This button controls your air suspension to lower or raise the vehicle. Then you have this one here for the My Modes, and that is your driving modes. So you have a personal, a sport, or an efficient, and we will check out that sport when we take it for a drive. And of course, like I said, the volume rocker and track select. Then we have our console here, nice padding, nice leather. Pops open, plenty of room down there. Let's move past the steering wheel real quick. Again, we're looking at the controls on the door, and that button right there is to open your door. So when you grab it, there's no door release. You just push that button with your thumb, and that will open your door. There's also like an extra handle down here to release the door. I'm guessing that's if battery fails or something. But it's always fun to see people struggling to figure out how to open the doors. Now let's move back to the steering wheel. And as you can see, it is an odd shape for a steering wheel. Definitely race inspired. And it took some getting used to for driving with it. It just feels a little awkward, especially for the first couple of days. It took me probably a good 2 days full of driving this thing to really get used to the steering wheel. But after you get used to it, it's not that big of a deal. You've got controls on either side, audio controls, infotainment controls, and cruise settings. Back behind the wheel is your driver information display that has plenty of different information here, and you can change through a couple of different layouts and content. And we do have a really nice head-up display. Color shows a lot of great information, including your lane keeping system and your radar guided cruise control. All really nice. And before we move on to the drive, yes, we do have this full glass roof, and you can see that it is like fogged over or tinted. There is a button here that changes the intensity of it a bit. It's really hard to notice unless you're looking like right at the sun on exactly what it's doing, but it's doing something. And with that, I think it's time to get this thing out on the road, take it for a drive, and see what we think about the power and driving dynamics of this BMW. Obviously, super quiet, super smooth of a ride. Again, with the shape of the steering wheel, it's a bit awkward at first, but once you get used to it, and if you got your hands at 10 and 2 or whatever, it's really comfortable. Let's push it a little bit, but not in sport mode. Very responsive. Brakes are good. We got those M Sport brakes. And again, you just hear that those engines wail as it pushes you forward. Just the sheer torque in this thing is nuts. And of course, when you don't want to push it hard, it is super calm and easy to drive. We do have the 2-axle air suspension. Keeps this thing level, raises it up, lowers it down for the best efficiency, and gives you a really smooth ride while doing it. Let's go ahead and play with our My Modes here. Turn it from personal to sport. Sport mode, optimum traction with reduced chassis stabilization. Driver assist steering intervention is deactivated. So we're in sport mode here, and we'll just brace for it. Goodness. Let's do a 0 to 60. Let's come to a complete stop. A little bit of a straight backcountry road here. All right, dead stop. Ready, set, go. 60. I mean, just always impressed with the power, that instant torque of the electric motors. But this thing, for a midsize SUV, it just gets up and goes. Much like when we were driving the Lightning truck, it just feels weird to go that quick in this big of a vehicle. That one is even bigger, but not quite as quick. And the sounds do it for me. And then again, my modes. Go back into just personal settings, which are balanced. And it calms back down. As far as day-to-day driving goes, this is very comfortable, easy to do a lot of miles in. Obviously, only as many miles as you can go on a charge. But we haven't had many issues there. We put it on a level 2 charger at about 35%, waited about 30 minutes, and gained about 20% of battery. So that's pretty solid. If you're just commuting back and forth to an office, doing grocery shopping in it, no issues. If you're planning a trip, you just got to plan around being able to stop and charge for a while. And if you can find the level 3 chargers, that'll make it that much easier. All the little glass knobs and stuff, when the light reflects into the vehicle, will project rainbows throughout the vehicle. Kind of cool. Luckily, none of them project into your eyeballs, but can be a little distracting. And of course, you can jump up on a highway, put this into radar guided cruise control. It has a lane keeping warning system, not really an assist system. We have massaging seats, heated seats. Super comfortable. Again, the interior just looks beautiful. I really like it. There's not a ton else to say except for this thing is a blast to drive when you really push it, and is super comfortable and calm and full of tech whenever you whenever you're just driving along, which is a perfect balance. It is a lot of money though. Let's find a place to pull back over. We'll talk about the price, and then we'll give you some of my final thoughts, and we'll wrap up the video there. All right, so after driving it, it's a ton of fun, no doubt about it. But how much does this thing cost? It's a lot. If you're looking at the base iX xDrive 50, you're looking at a base price of $84,100. The base M60 is $105,100. And our MSRP for this one that I'm sitting in right now is $115,870. Again, that's a lot of money. Could be worth it if you're in the market for this. There's not much competition out there for it. Really, no competition out there for it. Let's jump out and I'll give you some of my final thoughts and we'll wrap up this video. All right, guys, and after a full week of driving the iX, it's definitely a car I could see myself driving. It's definitely a car I could see recommending to somebody. If you've got the money to spend on it, it is a super luxurious vehicle. You're gonna be paying the price for that. But of course, if you've got the money and you like the design, I definitely recommend it. The iX is not only a ton of fun, it's got a beautiful interior, nice tech in it. I like the design. Super fast, pretty much everything you'd want in a sporty crossover. And right now, at least, there's not much on the market that will even compete with it. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the iX. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week. Also go check out TXGARAGE.com, where we do a lot more written reviews, as well as event and news coverage from a lot of great authors over there. But with that, guys, thanks for watching.